New rant video, yay! Except it's different. Also, FYI, it's pretty fucking humid in my room right now, so if you hear my fan on, short answer is that's why. Long answer is I am currently dying over here. Send help! And also, you might hear Kenai a little bit because he's been shifting around my room for quite a while right now. Anyways, I think it's about time I introduce one of my many OCs, or technically two of them, to the channel and get you guys familiar with them. Okay? Okay, good. I'm glad we agreed. Now, through my past videos, I've shown speed paints of like 4 OCs technically, as well as my main Sona, and I'll most likely make a video of them too, but for now I'll be introducing my first ever made OCs. Back in 2017, my two favorite YouTubers, who I will only watch at the time before watching others, Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, aka Sean, would post new videos of the specific game that caught little me in a chokehold. Bendy and the Ink Machine. And Cuphead. Now, back then, little me didn't know much about fandoms or the art of original characters until I added animation memes to my YouTube schedule. So when I first watched those videos Mark and Sean had made, I started to see other Bendy related stuff on YouTube and started to get sucked into the world that was the Bendy and the Ink Machine fandom. It was mainly music at first, which I now have a dedicated playlist to, and then came the animation memes. And if you were part of the generation of animation memes back in 2017, you would know that they will last months, even years, with so many different creators making their own interpretations. And one fateful day, I discovered a specific meme chain that would spark my mind forever. Bad karma. Cool, a new meme for me to obsess over. Again. This is pretty cool. I really like that karma word as well. Wait. Karma? Karma! And hence, folks, is how I created my first OC, Karma. But wait, she can't be by herself. She needs someone to have her back. Like Cuphead and Moonman. Oh! And then I created another. However, it took me a while to name him. At first I was just going to name him Boris, but I felt like I was stealing Boris's name, so I had to come up with a different name. Something just as unique and special like Karma's name. Something that will make people remember him and... Wait, whoa, not you. Anything but you. Now go, shoot. Anyways, he needs a name that others would fear ever using again.
Oh, bitch, you got me fucked up. Bitch, I mean, your shit.
Hey, he needs some milk.
Yeah, so every time I would think about him, the name Ben would always come to mind. And trust me, I tried to force my brain into thinking of naming him something else. Hell, even going to name websites. But it just kept haunting me. So I eventually gave up and stuck with him forever. Now, you might be wondering, Nai, how come you're only talking about this second character? Why not talk about Karma? Well, to give you a short answer, Karma, despite being my first OC, is currently under construction. The longer answer is, Ben was my first thought when I first thought out this video, and I'm sticking to it. Also, I lost my old script, so I'm writing this new one with more stuff on it. Okay? Okay. The new question you should be asking is, what's so important about this Ben guy anyway? Well, let's just say he was the starting point of something that's way bigger than, well, being a part of the Bendy fandom. They've both grown with me throughout the years, and as time went on, Ben was slowly taken out of the Bendy fandom. And through his story alone, I created my own special world. My own passion project that I've been planning to make as a pilot, but never actually got to. Unwanted Odyssey. Ben's story was like a prompt for Unwanted Odyssey, and once I had a good enough grip on the idea, it became way bigger than I expected. So much so, I made an entire universe for it with different deities and how gods are created. Like it's this whole thing, and maybe I'll make a video about it if that's what you guys want. Anyways, enough of that stuff. Let's talk about Ben. Now, who is Ben? Ben is a red wolf with Earth-like powers. Back when I first made him, though, he was just a copy and paste of Karma, who was, well, Black Wolf, but he's gotten a well-deserved redesign, so don't bully him. I've made some old drawings of him before, but I only have this one, so take what you will. Now, personality wise, I will say that he used to be like the shy and timid type, like every other little brother known to man. And he is like that at the start of his story, but he eventually grows out of it, and now he's like stoic from How to Train Your Dragon and Woo from Ninjago. Well, kinda. Just like the recruiting kids bit of Woo. Either way, he's my serious old man, and I love him very much. Anyways, let's get into his story, yeah? Buckle up because I might go full on narrator mode. Back when Ben was just a pup, he was the runt of his litter, and as he grew throughout the months, his pack had low faith in him surviving. So they took drastic measures, letting his older sister at the time lead him away from the pack and bringing him to a dirt hut just under a tree trunk. She lied to him, saying to wait for her there while she went hunting, when in reality she was just returning to the pack moments after. Ben knew he was too small and timid compared to everything in the forest, so he did as told and waited in that small hut for 2 months. By the end of the second month, he felt his body get weaker and weaker due to starvation. He could have died in that little hut if he hadn't been found, which he was, don't worry. Karma was the one who found Ben and brought him back to the studio, where he was technically taken in by Henry, but there's no specifics. And once he was 15, Ben had become part of the main crew, Karma, Bendy, and Boris, and would help filming behind the scenes, having been too awkward and unlikable by Joey's standards. One day, while the studio was on a heist due to editing new episodes, Karma had asked Ben if he wanted to have a little run in the nearby forest next to the studio, saying she's been having an itch to run. Not having been in his wolf form for a while now, he agreed and they headed out without Joey noticing them. Now in the forest, the two stay out there until the evening, running and hunting prey without actually killing them and finding a nice resting spot where they relax in the sun. It's been a while since they had the opportunity to be, well, wolves. They were only allowed this much freedom as pups, but as soon as they got older, Joey kept them inside more than usual, mainly to shoot more episodes for the show. Anyways, while they rest, Ben decides to go do another hunt and leaves Karma to bathe in the sun, soon finding an unsuspecting mouse and chasing it through the forest. What he didn't know was that he wasn't the only one hunting. Okay, so there's really no other way to explain this bit, so I'm just gonna say he was shot at a dart by a dart, tripped on himself, and ended up on a road in the middle of the forest that leads to the city in some way. So, like, you know those mini hills that lead to a forest that's next to a road? Yeah, basically, Ben tripped down from one of those, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, just search up a forest road or something, okay? Okay. Like a forest landscape or something, I don't know. Anyways, if you guessed that Ben was shot down by a hunter, then you're right. And as Ben loses consciousness, the hunter picks him up and puts him in the back of a white van. How did the van get there? I don't know. Maybe the hunter's driver was nearby. What do you want me to say? That Ben had supposedly fallen in front of the van when he tripped? Okay, we really need to work on that. But that's the blueprint. Okay? Okay. Now, to save myself the embarrassment, we're just gonna say that Karma stumbled onto the hunter while he put Ben in the van and tried to run after them, but eventually lost them. That good enough? Good. Now the actual world building begins. Because those hunters weren't driving on that road for long before the world around the van changed, and suddenly they were driving next to open fields, the world feeling dreadful despite being lush with color. Something was off. When the van finally came to a stop, Ben slowly gained his consciousness back, but still couldn't move his body. His whole world was dizzy, and by the time those doors opened, his eyes were blinded by the sun before the building finally came into view. Just think of like your typical factory, but it's in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Anyways, they take Ben into the factory, which is actually a laboratory where Ben is then proceeded to be thrown into a cage until a group of scientists and a few security guards come around and take him out of the cage, tying him to a lift table and taking him away. Now, before we get into this bit of the story, most of what Unwanted Odyssey has become throughout the years is because I have watched and grew up with so many animators on YouTube that a specific channel and its characters caught my attention the most when I was first trying to write Ben's story. Korean. I hope I'm saying that right. Uh, especially since they introduced me to this remix of In the End with this gorgeous map. They were such an inspiration for me. And thanks to their wonderful story and characters, Little Me was able to have a sort of base of what I wanted to do for Ben's story. And even though I'm a small creator, I'm still gonna say thank you to Korean for being such a huge inspiration for me and Ben. I really hope I said their name right. Now that I've got that off my chest, I'm gonna go full on narrator mode. Because what I did before this point wasn't narrator mode, in my opinion, at least. Now, put on your seatbelts and get ready for this next ride. Because it is freaking long.